All right. Hi, Venus.
Hello, Amartha. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm looking forward to this. This is an exciting platform you're building and truly a much needed space. And the part that really excited me is that this is not just limited to U.S. women, our struggles, what we go through, but also international space. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Well, for our readers and listeners, hello again. So today we are having a conversation with Venus Jenkins, who's the Vice President of Operations at ChargeNet. Hey, Venus, can you start talking more about yourself and the role at ChargeNet, and then we can go over some of the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I'll share my background that women may relate to going through pandemic, which is a world over event. We all got to start working from home, the opportunity to work from home. So yes, I'm still working from home, and I've gotten used to the nursery. At some point, I will convert this into an office. So a little blurb on why my background is kind of funky looking. Um, about me. So, as a VP, as a Vice President of Operations at ChargeNet Stations, I am focused on two aspects of it. One is the construction side of it, and then the other is the O&M operations and maintenance. Actually, stepping back, looking at ChargeNet, what we are trying to build here is a turnkey solution for the initial phase in a very niche market, which is fast food restaurants. And that turnkey solution is hardware side, where we are looking at building battery storage with DC fast chargers and solar carports. And the other side of the platform is software. And that's my counterpart, Rebecca. I think at some point, she will be joining as well or have a separate talk. And she will speak more to the software side. So as a VP of operation, my job is to get these sites constructed, built, and operational, and then maintain them under the Network Operations Center. So that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. So, when the term operations is mentioned, the first thing or the first word that comes to my mind is sustain or run mode, right? So, it's just kind of keeping the lights on. So, how important is a customer's perspectives for strategizing your goals as a vice president of operations in a startup?
Absolutely. That's a key. Every startup has to have the customer first attitude. Otherwise, what are you building if the customer is not interested in your product? How that
Mhm.
translate into operations, to your point, keeping the lights on, is that customer experience. And I'll give a very specific example: zoom in and then zoom out. So zoom in is, at least where I live in Southern California, we do have access to decent, not the best, but decent charging infrastructure, EV charging infrastructure. But some of the challenges we run into are if you show up to the site, you may plug in your car, which has happened to me, and it's not charging. There is no caution tape. It doesn't tell on my app, or it doesn't tell on the screen that this charger is not operational, and that drives me bonkers. And I would assume every other customer would feel the same pain as well, that at least give me some sort of indication that that charger is not working. And coupled with some other experiences, you're on a long trip, you need to charge your car, you go charge it in the middle of nowhere, where in California, some of the chargers are in the middle of nowhere. That customer experience is missing, where you can't go grab a bite or use the restrooms, or it's not well lit area. So that, from that perspective, operations come into play big time. I am building the sites with that lens, the customer experience, and then the operational side is keeping the same lens on, keeping our customers informed that when you show up to our site, you know which chargers are available, what capacities they are at, and they're in well lit area, and then you can go grab a bite or order some food while you're charging your car. Hence, our niche market is fast food restaurants. So to answer your question, it plays a huge role. Customer experience, customer insights plays a huge role on how you plan your operations. um,
Awesome. Yeah. And then thinking about disruption, right? Innovation, to your point, becomes extremely critical, right? And then how do you really balance that operational aspect to also driving innovation. So that needs to be a balance, right? Because as you said, customer experience and perspectives is something that is going to be driving what you do on the operational side. So how do you really balance these two aspects to make sure you have a clear understanding of executing your goals and strategy?
This is so interesting you're asking me this question because a few days ago I was working on a document basically laying out our groundwork for operations and maintenance. And one of the things I specifically asked to be incorporated in that plan and developed in our operations from the get-go is the innovation mindset. What I specifically mean by that is as simple as these things, where you have automation, real-time data, you have predictive behaviors. And once again, I like to zoom in with very specific examples and zoom out because that provides what kind of granular operations data we are looking at and how that's used in an innovative sense. So a specific example I was looking at was, this is hypothetical situation though, but I'm already thinking about it down the line, how I want to build uh, our organizations with this mindset. So this example is, for example, you show up to an EV charger and the EV charger is not working, but we have built the capability with the real-time data that we know which part on that EV charger system has failed. We make sure that information is recorded, that it doesn't get lost in some tickets and reporting and etc. Given my previous experience, that's what has happened in the past. Mm-hmm. So when you have collected enough information, knowing that this part, let's say part X, has failed this many times over this many chargers, now you have a data set and you could already think ahead of time doing preventive maintenance and have like a predictive analysis built into your operation systems that, hey, this charger, this part has been in service for 5 years and our data shows that this part will fail at 5 years and 2 months. We should schedule maintenance at 5 years and 1 month. That kind of mindset is what I would think drive innovation from the operations perspective. That how we build these predictive analysis from the get-go, and which requires real-time data collection and real-time data analysis.
Perfectly aligns with my next question. So you talked about predictive analytics, insights, data becomes super important. I think most of the enterprises are thinking about data being the core foundation to making any decisions or thinking about future proofing. Now, where does the traditional IT come into supporting this aspect in this particular industry? I'd love to get more insights into what is the scope for traditional IT capabilities and systems from an operations standpoint.
From operations perspective, I would say traditional IT is going to be the one that's going to allow us to build these systems with real-time data analytics. And it seems like a bunch of words put together, but it's difficult to build. I have extensive utility experience, so I can say it's difficult to build for traditional IT, these kind of systems. And it's even more difficult to maintain and sustain those systems. Because as you're collecting data on each piece and part of your assets, just imagine the amount of data now you're creating, you're maintaining, you're sustaining, doing analysis. And IT becomes sort of the backbone to host all this and keep it functioning for us to be able to make those decisions. So that's how I see traditional IT being such an integral part of our operations and maintenance.
Awesome. Do you have like an architecture strategy for managing data? Because it sounds like data is like the core of everything you guys do here. So what is your plan and strategy to really think about, this is what the data set looks like today, and this is what the future should look like, sort of a current state, target state, sort of a, analysis?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think Rebecca would be more adept to answer this question. In my case, I have uh, some ideas based on my previous experience, but we are an early stage startup. So right now we are very focused on building and constructing and
Got
getting
it.
our MVP done on the software side. So I don't have a very specific architecture for operations just yet, but I will be working with Rebecca to build that backbone.
Awesome, awesome. And I want to switch gears a little bit here and talk about opportunities for aspiring candidates who want to come into this industry. So when you make hiring decisions, Venus, what sort of skill sets that you would look for in candidates if they're, let's say, they're starting out of college? Is it necessary for them to know the space in terms of what's the business, or is it just kind of a passion that they need to have so they can come and learn? So I just want to hear your perspective so our readers and listeners are able to understand what is needed if they really want to make career shift and transition.
We need a lot of you guys. Let me just start with that. Let me rephrase that. We need a lot of you gals. Um, so we need this clean energy problem is not solvable by just few of us who have been in this field for a while. This is directly related to climate change. So this is my passionate, speech and request that please do consider it. And the thing is, you really don't need to have full on energy background or utility experience, or even electric vehicle or charging infrastructure experience. This industry is evolving and it's still very at a nascent stage. So you could make your own career out of it. If you have something valuable that you think you could bring to the table, you could create your own career, you could create your own path. Now, talking a little bit more specifics, who may already have this background, which may come handy. So from specific side, I would say any of the engineerings, electrical, civil, those are top. Any of those engineerings definitely complement your skill set. That will get your foot in the door a little bit faster on the building infrastructure side. On the software side, there's just already such a huge demand. From what I understand, the back end developers, front end developers, full stack developers, if you have any of those skill sets, you need to have zero energy background and you could enter the space very easily. And same thing with on the engineering side too. If you have electrical, civil, even to some extent chemical, industrial construction, you could get your foot in the door. The other thing I would like to recommend and or suggest, which some of you guys may be seeing this already, and slightly off topic, I would encourage women to take a little bit more risk. What I mean by that is, if you feel like, this is a foreign world, but I'm very much interested in being part of this foreign world. I don't want to quit my day job and just, go in it fully. I recommend you take a risk through angel investments. Um, you know, Go learn from local chapters. Angel investments could be as little as $5,000. That's how I started learning the startup investment side of the house. Um, and I feel like I started way too late. Today's generation is moving even faster, but that's like my all-encompassing. You, this is a great time to be in this industry. You don't need a lot of experience, and you could start your own endeavors and look at angel investing, just providing you options.
Awesome. And again, that kind of is a perfect segue into my next question as to what are some of the resources and forums you would recommend for women who are wanting to learn more about the space, who want to connect with like-minded women and just kind of explore the networking opportunities? So what should they be looking out for?
Some of the ecosystems that we are currently a part of, and I am as well, One of the major players in US is Lacey, LA Clean Tech Incubator. And that's how I got my introduction when I just attended their women forums. And usually they may have happy hours online or after hours, or sometimes they understand that, women also they have to do the childcare after work. So they think through these things and plan accordingly. So it's more accessible. Lacey is a great place to start. LA Clean Tech Incubator. Look it up. I think it's lacy.org. The second one I would recommend is Greentown Labs. Greentown Labs is I would say the second largest clean tech incubator in US. Check out their website too. They also host a lot of women in clean tech events. Personally, I'm also connected to the MIT ecosystem just because that's my alumni network. Women at MIT, women in clean energy at MIT are very active. They are solving hard energy problems, like big hard energy problems. So take that. Those are the three off the top of my head that I could think of that would be very beneficial for women to at least participate in some of the events or just attend.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Venus. And then previously you somehow talked about your journey, right? So I'd love to get more detailed into that aspect. So being a woman of color, what were some of the challenges that you faced while making such a remarkable impact on your career? So we'd love to hear your journey and how you navigated those challenges of where you started to where you are now and making this impact.
I started as a chemical engineer at a nuclear power plant, which was very odd field after graduating with engineering. I enjoyed my nuclear days and I learned a lot about nuclear industry, but there were some serious challenges along the way too. I'll share a particular story that just sharing some personal experience. I was trained by a pretty astute engineer. He was very well regarded. He's still my mentor, and these were large water systems I was working on, and the plan was that these were 30-year-old water systems, and they were looking to upgrade these, and I came with the background. I came with all the training, and I made a proposal. Some of the things to be included in this massive $100 million renovation project. I was the only woman of color at a table with 20 other men, engineers, maintenance operators, you name it, from a power plant. It was a proud moment. I was like, sweet. I was also very young at that point. And then the next day, I got an email asking or telling me that I can't be on the team. Multiple emails went back and forth, and they just said, I can't be on the team. And at that point, I'm like, but why? I bring value to the team. I am bringing solid engineering to the team that will make the system increase its value by tenfold. And I kid you not, my mentor at that time, he said, Venus, maybe there's some misogyny in these emails. And at that time, I did not know the word misogyny. So I was like, what does that mean? So long story short, my mentor said, no, you have to be back on the team. And I was kind of naive and didn't fight for myself. And I said, I need to be on the team. This is a big project and I want to make sure it goes the right way. And the lead project manager said, hey, I can have you be on the team if you don't mind being an assistant, like taking notes and stuff. And I'm like, okay. But now I look back at that story, it infuriates me And that was one of the challenges, that I took it so lightly because I was so eager to learn and so eager to um, perform, that I didn't even bat an eye that, they just didn't feel comfortable me leading the charge. So now, I didn't come across that many challenges, but I remember my engineering days were not that easy, going to power plants and different sites and just hearing things that were sometimes uncomfortable.
Yep.
So what do I do with this information? I make sure that that does not happen again. I work in a very technical field. My previous team, I made sure that this was not a pipeline issue when I was interviewing candidates, because that's usually the excuse you get. There are just not that many women in the pipeline. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to wait until I see enough women in the pipeline, and given equal opportunity, equal footing to them. And this is not to say I don't select the best candidate. Best candidate always wins, but I have a different lens on the things I went through, and I also aspire to mentor and coach women. Earlier in my career, I didn't want to because I felt like I'm not ready, but now I do, and it's very fulfilling. Sorry, I just went on and on because I have
No,
a set of personal experiences.
this is perfect. This is exactly what I think I wanted to hear, at least. So, Venus, tell us top 3 advice that you want to be providing all women here who are going to either read or listen to this talk.
I mean, I can go on and on, but
Go
I'll
for it.
no, I'll keep it short and succinct. The two pieces of advice I like to impart is, one is, you know, be financial savvy, be investment savvy. I understand you may be an engineer, you may be in social studies or other interest areas, creative studies. However, be in the position to make the financial decisions. And even if you're not, take smaller financial risks. Learn about stocks, learn about angel investments. Just those are the opportunities when you are going to take these incremental risks. Those could result in large returns, or give you the appetite that and the comfort to invest bigger. We are naturally risk averse. That's why my advice is be financial savvy with incremental calculated risks. And that's also what makes us better investors, that we are calculated risk takers. That would be my first advice. The second one, I share this with women who are looking to advance their career. It took me a long time to get to that point. A lot of women look for mentors, and I highly encourage that you do get a mentor. But with a mentor, also get a sponsor. And that there is a very key difference between a mentor and a sponsor. A sponsor will put you in touch with the right people or will recommend you for certain positions. So mentorship is building a relationship when you truly want to learn and grow from their experience and you value their opinion. And sponsor is you value their opinion, but you also value their sponsorship. So that would be my second advice. It took me a very long time to understand the difference and actually build a network to get the sponsors to grow in my career. So those would be, calculated risk and get a mentor / sponsor.
And when a sponsorship doesn't have to be financial, right? It could be
no.
right. I just want to clarify that for people who think sponsorship is just kind of supporting financially. That's not true.
No, it's actually, sometimes it works out organically, but having that the plan in your mind, it usually starts with a mentorship. And when you're talking to your mentor, you probably express your career goals or goals in life. In one of those goals, you probably will also want to be very explicit. Hey, I would love to, get your help advancing in career from point A to point B. I don't know if you could help me make some connections, as well as, you know, help me build the skill set I need. For example, you know, I'm an engineer, but I want to learn the finance side. Is there a way that you could help me get a position on the finance side of the company? So when I go, let's say you're going for a C-suite position. If you are going for a C-suite position, you have to have a good understanding of how the company makes money, and that comes from the financial acumen. Engineering gives you the technical side of the house, and finance gives you how to run the company. But in my career, it was really hard for me to go from an engineer to go do the finance side of the house. So I needed that sponsorship, somebody to bet on me that I will be okay and I will add value. So that's what I mean by sponsorship, because it's a hard pivot for a lot of people. And this is not monetary. It is, you know, you're planning out your career. So that's what I mean by sponsorship.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, so really excited to hear all your perspectives and insights. And that kind of brings us to the end of our conversation, Venus. So thank you so much. Truly enjoyed talking to you. And thanks again for taking time to share your insights, your experience, and journey. So looking forward to chat soon.
Anytime, and anybody wants to reach out to me, please let Amar know, and I'm happy to support my fellow women. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you.